potential, and it was a very effective organization. That's a defensive transatlantic alliance. But when the Soviet Union collapsed at the end of 1991, the justification for NATO disappeared overnight. There literally was no reason for NATO to exist. But the United States continued to keep the NATO structure in place because it was a mechanism of control. The United States, through NATO, controlled Europe. And NATO is closely linked to the European Union. The European Union is the political and economic side of the U.S.-European alliance, of which NATO is the military political side. You can't speak of NATO without speaking of the European Union. Why? They're the same people. And the United States dominates both. So I don't think it's inaccurate to say that NATO and the European Union are a direct extension of America. I would go further and say that NATO and the European Union are simply tools of American geopolitical hegemony, that Europe lacks any sort of unified, independent vision of what a European security framework looks like. This is something that all Europeans should reflect on. Does NATO and the European Union serve the best interests of Europe? Or does it serve exclusively the interests of the United States? And that's a question that all Europeans should ponder as they are freezing this winter. Freezing because of sanctions they've imposed on Russia at the behest of the United States. Germany, again. Germany thought it was a good idea to start Nord Stream 2, to create a new gas pipeline. Why? Because Germany understood what the rest of Europe likewise should have understood, that the only reason why the German economy was as strong as it was for as long as it was is because they lived off of a reliable supply of cheap Russian gas. Now that they've denied themselves that gas, look how quickly the economy is tanking. Was it in Germany's best interest to commit economic suicide? The answer, of course, is no. Then why did they do it? Because Germany and the German government doesn't work for the benefit of the German people. It works for the exclusive benefit of the United States of America. So we as Americans thank you, Germany, for doing our bidding. But if I were a German, I'd be very upset at my government. I'd be very upset at the United States, because it's not Russia's fault that Germany is going to be cold this winter. It's America's fault, and it's the German government's fault.